So why are so many YouTube creators asking for money all of a sudden? What's up with that? Right. A growing number of YouTube channels are featuring requests for alternate funding besides AdSense that's been traditional and come to be accepted on YouTube. In a lot of cases, unfortunately, these channels or these creators are being accused of e-begging, but asking for money on a YouTube channel and e-begging are really not the same thing. E-begging is just the modern equivalent of begging that's been with us for all of human history. I just came to Flagstaff recently. Every corner in Flagstaff has somebody out with a sign asking for money. The e-begging is just the modern equivalent of that. People ask online. The catch with begging or e-begging specifically here is that it generally involves asking for money or some kind of goods with no value provided in return. Somebody's just asking for something for nothing, in other words. Now, I'll agree with you that some YouTube channels fall into this category. They're low-value channels. The person running them doesn't put a lot of effort or work into it, and they just want people to give them money for very little effort on their part, very little work, very little value that they're providing, if any at all. There are some channels like that. That's not what I'm talking about today. So let's get that out of there. I'm talking about channels that actually are providing real value to the viewers, and we'll talk more about that value a little later, but I'm talking about channels that are providing value, and you're seeing some of them start to ask for donations or various ways of financial support. But I would argue that channels that are providing real value to their viewers and then ask for donations or some other form of financial support are not e-begging. Okay, so first let's talk about the economics of YouTube. The way most creators have historically monetized is through AdSense, which is Google's ad program. YouTube is going to run ads on videos whether the creator participates in AdSense or not. It costs a lot of money to store all that video and then to the bandwidth to deliver it. So it costs YouTube a lot of money to do that, and that's how they fund it, is through advertising. And what they do then is they offer creators an opportunity to participate in their AdSense program, and basically the revenues are shared between YouTube and the creators whose channel it's appearing on. So it's a way for creators to easily monetize their channel and make some revenue for the amount of work that they put in. The bottom line is, under the best of circumstances, small channels might make what you call coffee money off of AdSense revenue. It just doesn't add up to a lot. If you're getting a few hundred or even a few thousand views per video, you're not going to make a lot of money. Now, it has historically been possible to make a livable wage to support a channel that's basically a full-time job with AdSense, if you can grow the channel large enough. So if you get enough subscribers, which then hopefully translates into enough views, the views is what really matters. If enough people watch your videos enough times, then you can make enough money from advertising to make the thing financially viable as an option. And AdSense has historically offered the easiest path to monetizing a YouTube channel. Now, you can obviously go out and sell your own ads, but then you have a whole other full-time job trying to contact companies and negotiate ads and run them on your own channel, collect payments, all the rest. So it's what most creators have done is just use the AdSense because it's built in and works seamlessly with your YouTube channel. Okay, so why then do creators want to monetize their YouTube channels? Well, the bottom line is some creators are lazy and just want to do the minimum amount of work and have people give them money for it, and basically they think it's some kind of a get-rich-quick scheme. That doesn't work on YouTube. For those who are trying to do a good job, a YouTube channel quickly becomes a full-time job, and it becomes a full-time job long before you're making much money from it. Creating videos is a lot of work. Creating a single video, if you're putting any kind of work into planning it and shooting it decent and editing decent and publishing, it easily becomes a lot of work, and you can very easily spend 4 to 8, 10, 12 hours on a single video, sometimes even more than that. For example, a video is a one-take video. You're able to get everything in one shot. You may do some minimum editing, some color correction, hopefully some audio correction sometimes, get it uploaded. Those aren't too bad. Those would be on the lower end of that spectrum. A video that has a lot of clips, for example, some of the travel ones I do, they take a long time because you're dealing with dozens of video clips and photos, and each has to be color corrected, and then you have to do your audio and put it all together, render it out, upload it, and those can easily be an entire day's work to produce one of those videos. And that's without even counting all the time you spend shooting and planning what you're going to shoot. So it's easily a full day's work to put out a video. So once upon a time, for people who've been doing this longer than I have, I've only been doing it about a year now, and I started it off, as I talked in a previous video, mostly for branding, because I was doing editing for other people, and I wanted an online place to show some of my work. And I put up things that I thought were interesting. But as I've gotten more into it, and I do that more now. But basically, people who've been doing this for a long time say you used to be able to put up one video a week and grow your channel. The current standard is you have to put up a minimum of 3 videos a week to grow a channel, and 5 or 7 is better. So even if you're doing the minimum of 3 videos, you're spending anywhere from a day and a half or 2 days up to 4 days a week of work days just trying to produce 3 videos a week. If you're doing a good job with them, and if you're trying to produce quality video. So obviously that cuts into your ability to do other work. So if you're going to do that, you have to find a way to make it pay for itself so you're not losing your shirt while you're not able to work on other projects. Another thing is that audio and video gear gets really expensive really fast. Most creators who are serious and put some effort into their channels, they're going to end up with thousands and thousands of dollars worth of video and audio gear. Now that may include cameras, lenses, lighting, microphones, and that's before you get into editing software, a powerful computer to edit video. So it adds up really quick to where you're spending a lot of time on it and you're spending a lot of money on it. So you really, unless you're retired and comfortable, or unless for whatever reason you don't have to work, most people who do this are going to have to find a way to monetize it and make it pay for itself. Okay, so another issue here is that there's often this idea that anything online should be free. And, when the internet was first created, it basically was used by military and educational outlets, and it was free. But it quickly became commercialized. And whether you think that's good or bad in the big picture of things, almost all of us rely heavily on the internet for our day-to-day activities, whether it's banking or staying in touch with friends and family, or entertainment and information resources from YouTube. And those things cost money to produce. Now, there are some companies who use their blog or their YouTube channel to promote their own products, and so they're not so much worried usually about making money directly from that content. They make it indirectly. They're using it as a marketing tool. It's part of their marketing budget. But for a lot of other creators who are putting content online, musicians that are doing music, they still have to make a living from their music if they're going to do it more than just very part-time. Authors have to make a living from their books if they're going to do it more than just very part-time. A lot of work to write a book. Video creators have to figure out a way to make a living if they're going to do it more than just real part-time. If it's getting more than just a basic hobby, in other words. Any of those artists, they have to find a way to make money from their work, or they won't be able to continue to do it. And these artists, whether they're musicians or photographers or writers or video creators, whatever it is, they have to be able to find a way to make a living, because unfortunately, just because they're artists, they don't get free rent or free gas or free food or whatever, and they still have to pay taxes like everybody. So you have to find a way to earn some money to cover your living expenses so you can continue to create art. And of course, the great thing about things like YouTube and blogs and things is that basically that content is offered free. People just have to find a way to monetize it to pay for it, because with rare exceptions, we're not selling subscriptions to a channel or to a website that only allows people to who pay to access. There are some of those, but that's kind of a minority of what's on the internet. So what has changed with YouTube lately that we're seeing this increase in creators trying to find other ways to monetize the channel, to make money from the channel? Well, as we've discussed, it's always been a challenge. You really had to work hard and build up something to be able to make much money at all from YouTube. And YouTube becomes a full-time job long before it's even ramen profitable, as the startups would say. The ramen profitable is your bare minimum expenses, where you might be eating ramen, but at least you can get by. The YouTube becomes a full-time job long before you even hit that. under the best of circumstances. What has happened this year now is what's come to be termed the Adpocalypse and demonetization. The Adpocalypse emerged this springtime. What happened was there were several high-profile incidents where advertisers discovered that their ads were being played on channels that were not real friendly to their brand, and they didn't want to be a part of that. So what happened is advertisers pulled back from YouTube in a big way. And so there were far fewer ads for YouTube to place on videos, and those ads were paying less, as happens with supply and demand. YouTube decided to address that by implementing a demonetization algorithm. And what happens then is, and this is an effort to woo back advertisers by assuring them their ads will only be displayed on safe videos. So they created this algorithm, and it searches videos and apparently somewhat randomly decides if videos might not be suitable for advertisers. Now this is from Google, the people who basically invented internet search, and they've just not done well with this algorithm. So all kinds of video creators are getting dinged with what's called demonetization, where you upload a video and YouTube runs their algorithm on it and decides it's not advertiser friendly and is demonetized, and you don't get any advertising displayed on that. Now you can appeal that, but they won't even start to review it till you've had at least 1,000 views, and it often takes several days for that to happen. The result of that is that by the time they get around to reviewing it and deciding, oh yeah, this is actually an advertiser-friendly video, there's nothing wrong with this isn't a violent video, it's not a hate speech video, it's a video that's advertiser-friendly, you've already run, by that happens several days afterwards, by the time they get around to it, you've already had, in most cases, most of the views that video is going to get. Now, anybody who's got a YouTube channel will occasionally have a video that just continues to be popular for a long time, or gets a second wind later on, it gets popular. But for the most part, videos that go up on YouTube, they get the views they're going to get within 2 or 3 days. So effectively, by YouTube implementing this strategy and then taking days to review it in most cases, the creators are losing all the ad revenue from that video through no fault of their own. It's just a mistake on YouTube's part in many cases. Now, I'm sure they're catching some videos that are legitimately not advertiser friendly, but a lot of times they're getting it wrong, and that's really hurting creators, especially small creators. There are many channels, larger channels, for example, where the creators have lost 75 or even 80% of their revenue this year. Their channel might still have grown more than it was before, but their revenue has just been gutted. And so then even on the channels that aren't getting hit that hard, I've only had several on mine, for example, the advertising's still lower than it used to be, and you're still losing ads on popular videos. And I have friends who have had many more demonetized than I have. And again, they're all reversed on appeal because they were incorrectly flagged. But you still lose the money in the meantime. And it really hurts over the course of a month when you get several popular videos demonetized and you lose the revenue from it. Now, what makes this all worse is that YouTube has not been transparent about what's going on. They've not provided reliable information about what's happening, and they don't provide any kind of information to you about why you were erroneously flagged as being not advertiser friendly. So creators don't know if this money's coming back, and if so, when. We just don't know. And there's very little information, helpful information, at least coming out of YouTube about this situation. Meanwhile, content creators are earning even less than they were in the past, and it was already hard to make the economics of this whole thing work, and now they're making less than they used to make. So they're having to look at ways to make up for what they're losing through no fault of their own through ad sets. And as I said, there are some channels that really are putting out content is not friendly to advertisers. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the legitimate channels that are family friendly and advertiser friendly, and they're still getting demonetized. So as a result of all this, legitimate creators who are trying to do a good job are having to find alternate ways to fund the channel. Because the problem is it still takes just as much time to produce videos, to plan them and shoot them and edit them and upload them and publish them, and to answer comments and emails and all this. This all takes just as much time as ever, but we're making less money than ever. And it already, like I said, it was already a thing where you had to really get big to make it a viable thing anyways, and now everybody's making less than they used to. So there are a number of ways that creators are looking at to do that, to make up for that loss that they're experiencing. One of the ones that gets a lot of flack is Patreon accounts. And what the Patreon does is it allows people to make small or large monthly donations to support artists, basically. And it's used by video creators, it's used by photographers, by bloggers, by authors, other nonprofits, all kinds of different operations use it, and it allows their viewers or readers or just people who appreciate the work they're doing to help support that work in an optional, voluntary way. Nobody has to do it, but it's a way that if you really appreciate this YouTube channel, for example, and you want to see it grow, and you want to see that creator be able to continue to put work into it and invest in it, it's a way to support that. Another option that a lot of us use and have used for a while now is Amazon affiliates. The great thing about Amazon affiliates, and this one doesn't get so much flack about it because it's been around for a while. People are about as familiar with that as they are with AdSense. But with Amazon affiliates, you use a link, you use a specific products or just your Amazon general link, and people who are already going to buy something at Amazon anyways, if they buy it using that link, the creator gets a few percentage points kickback from Amazon for the referral. And you know, it's a way, unless you do it a ton, you get a ton of sales from Amazon, you're not going to make much money with it. And for most people, it's a small percentage of overall revenue, but it's one thing that can help us. So a lot of creators use Amazon affiliates. Another option that some people are using is direct donations, whether viewers send in checks or they make donations to PayPal, whatever. It's just, again, similar to Patreon, just cuts out the middleman. It's just a way to make a donation, often one-time donation, not as opposed to a monthly thing, towards a channel that you appreciate and you want to help out and support. Yet another option is merchandise. Some people are using that, whether they'll create t-shirts or stickers or whatever, different kind of merchandise is branded with their logo or with their some slogans, these, whatever. And again, these are things that people are probably going to buy anyways in many cases, and it's just a way for them to buy it from a creator whose work they enjoy and to support that creator in the process. Another one is sponsorships. That's a little harder if you're a smaller channel, but if you get big enough, you can sometimes get companies to sponsor a video or sponsor a series of videos or whatever, and they get, it's sort of like advertising, but is not directly tied to views or anything. It's just they'll donate a certain amount of money in exchange for being promoted on that channel. And then finally, it's possible for YouTube creators to sell ads directly to companies that want to advertise. That's not very practical for most channels unless you're really big, because it's so much work to chase that down and to try and manage that program. And again, if you're a smaller channel, you're just not going to get the interest from advertisers. They want to advertise on the really big channels where they get the most bang for their buck. Okay, so now that we've talked a bit about the economics of YouTube, why there's this change, why creators are doing this, how they're doing it, I want to reiterate that in my opinion, creators are not e-beggars. Why do I say that? First of all, some may be, but not all. Quality channels are not asking for something for nothing. Quality channels are providing value to the viewers without any necessity for you to pay to get it. You don't have to pay a subscription fee to get that content. It's freely available, but it still has to be monetized. The creators still have to make enough money to pay their rent and pay for camera gear and pay for their internet connections so they can upload videos, that kind of thing. So they're not asking for something for nothing. They're asking for support from loyal viewers in exchange for quality product, quality content that they're already providing. So now that quality content, that value that creators are providing may just be entertainment. You know, is it fun to watch? Does it entertain you? It may be information. It may be community, a sense of community, especially on some of the larger channels. They have regular commenters. I have regular commenters on my channel, which is a relatively small channel in YouTube world, and I have some people that comment on, frequently, and I interact with them frequently. They interact with each other, and so there's also a sense of community that may be provided by these creators. There are other models that are similar to this that we don't think anything about. Take public radio or public television. They have some advertising revenue. They might get some government support depending on where they're at and everything. They may get some support from nonprofits or things that are supporting them, but they still usually have an annual fundraiser where they ask for direct donations, direct financial support from their viewers or listeners. And again, you don't have to do that. It's still free content in terms of you can turn it on the radio station or turn on the TV station and watch it or listen to it for free, but it costs money to make it, and they don't bring in enough money from their other sources to fully fund it. So they rely on their viewers and listeners to help fund the operations to offset the cost of providing that content. Community hospitals often rely on donations from individuals in the community. They get some money from insurance, they get some direct payments from some patients for fees for services, and they may get some government funding, but they still don't have enough to really cover the cost of operations. They're operating at a deficit every year, and so they'll have fundraisers that will rely on people in the community making donations to keep their community hospital functioning, because they provide value to the community, and it costs money to provide that value, so they ask people who benefit from it to, as they're able, to consider supporting it financially. So similarly, quality YouTube channels that are already providing good stuff and maybe hoping to provide even more good stuff, they just, in many cases now, are not making enough from advertising revenue. And so they have to find alternative ways to pay the bills so they can continue to provide that content, that valuable content, to viewers for free. And so the way varies between channels, but that's why people are looking at things like Amazon affiliates or Patreon or direct donations or sponsorships and what have you, merchandise, because they just have to find a way to fund the channel, because it costs money to make videos, and both in terms of time and direct financial expenses. It costs money to do that, and so that's why you're seeing this happening. Okay, so now what are my plans for this channel? Some of you are probably thinking, oh, I'm about to set up a Patreon account or something. I'm not. Okay. We've talked about the economics, so I'll talk about how it applies to me. I share this primarily because I wanted to share it as an insider, somebody who's doing this, has been doing it on my own channel for a year, has been helping other people edit and produce videos for a while now. So I'm sharing it as somebody who's on the inside and has a direct understanding of how it works and how some of these changes are impacting YouTube creators like myself and many, many others. Right now, I have no plans to change anything I'm doing on this channel in terms of the way it's monetized and supported. However, if this thing continues with AdSense, with declining ad revenue and fewer ads and the demonetization problems, if all this continues, I also will have to explore alternatives for how to fund this, because this takes away from, I love doing this, okay, but it does take away from other projects, other work I do, and so I have to make a certain amount of money to live on. So if this is going to continue to decline in revenue, I either have to stop doing it or I have to find alternate ways to fund it. But right now, that's not an issue. Right now, I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing, which is relying on AdSense and to a much lesser extent on Amazon affiliate links. Some of you do faithfully support that and buy things through Amazon using my link when you're already going to buy something from Amazon anyways, and that does help. That kicks a little money back to me each month. I also make a little from book sales that I don't promote heavily, but if you go to my website, you'll find links and stuff, and so I do make a little money from that each month as well. So for now, I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing. The important point here is I want to continue to keep as much content as possible free for everyone. I don't want people to be priced out of viewing my work, the stuff I create, because they cannot afford it. And I know that many of my viewers are on really tight budgets. They're retired or they're disabled or whatever, and they're just really struggling financially. So I don't want to be pricing people out of access to my content. I may at some point in the future consider a Patreon, only if I can sure that it makes sense for my viewers, and I'm sure that I can do it in a way that doesn't detract from the quality of this channel. And I'm just not sure how all that'll work out. Right now, it's not really on the radar. It's more of just a hypothetical, maybe, but it's not my first choice. I am exploring merchandise. There's a few things I may offer. I'm a minimalist, so the last thing I want to do is encourage people to buy a bunch of junk they don't need, but I may be offering a few things in the foreseeable future, in addition to my books, that, hopefully people would use anyways, and if they want to buy it, it's an option to get it here and help support this channel. I may also at some point consider sponsorships when the channel's a little bigger, only if it makes sense for this channel, for the viewers. I'm not going to be taking sponsorships just for the money and they don't provide value. If it's something that I think will provide value to my viewers, then I'll consider that in the future as well. So in conclusion, why are so many YouTube creators asking for money now? The bottom line is the economics of YouTube have always been challenging. It's like Hollywood, okay? If you can get over the hump, yeah, or like with book authors, if you can get over the hump and get a celebrity status, yeah, you can make a ridiculous amount of money. But if you can't get over that hump, you're going to struggle to make enough. So most people are going to struggle to make enough. So the economics here have always been challenging, But with this Adpocalypse and with the demonetization things, it's rapidly approaching impossible to support for many channels. And so people just have to look at alternatives for how to do it. Some may handle that better or worse, but that's why you're seeing this. But certainly not all YouTube creators who ask for money are e-beggars. You know, some are, sure, I'll give you that. But a lot of them, you know, they're creating quality, valuable content, and it just costs money to do that, and they're not able to make the money the way they used to, which is through advertising, or not able to make enough the way they used to. So channels, even channels that used to be fine financially, are all of a sudden having to figure out alternate ways to support the channel.